police have tapped the phone of Quell, who is the friend of Chrisean. A very close friend of Chrisean's, a friend that would do anything for her. He is gang related from what is being stated in the streets, and the police have viewed him as a #1 suspect besides Chrisean. I do feel that Chrisean is a suspect, but until they have further proof or evidence that she's involved, there's not much that they can do until then.
If you thought this drama between Chrisean Rock and the Zeus network was just another online shouting match, you're about to realize how unbelievably wrong you were. Because behind the Instagram posts, the threats, the screaming lives, and the money accusations lies a story so dark, so twisted, that even the streets weren't ready for how deep it actually goes. And now, word is, the Zeus CEO himself has reached a breaking point, not just clapping back, not just exposing old receipts, but allegedly involving the police over what insiders claim might be a connection far more serious than "she owes me money." This is where the story stops being entertainment and turns into a true crime nightmare. Because the whispers aren't whispers anymore. People are openly asking if Chrisean's chaos is bigger than the internet ever imagined. If the death of her ex, Ronny Doe, wasn't just a tragic shooting, but a situation tangled in fear, secrets, and names nobody wants to say out loud. And if you were in this position, if the streets were pointing at you, if the timelines were lining up a little too perfectly, what would you do? Run? Stay silent? Or pray the truth never comes out? This is where everything gets messy. Ready? The moment this entire situation shifted from internet noise to a real investigation was the night Ronny Doe took his last breath. And the strangest part? Everything that happened before that night suddenly started making a lot more sense once the timeline was laid out. People had brushed off the arguments, the shouting matches, the social media posts, the threats, the disappearing DNA papers. But when you line them up, one after the other, the pattern stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like intention. And that's exactly what's making the Zeus CEO speak up now, because even he knows that when the streets start talking in full sentences, someone is getting real close to slipping up. It all traces back to February 3rd, 2025, a cold night in Severn, Maryland, when officers responded to multiple gunshots just after 7 p.m. This wasn't a random drive-by in a busy neighborhood. This wasn't an argument that went left. This wasn't a chaotic moment where someone fired out of panic. Every detail screamed planning. Ronny was found lying on the ground in front of a home, a single gunshot wound, no signs of struggle, and no witnesses willing to step forward with real information. The police immediately noted something chilling. Whoever did this wasn't panicking, wasn't rushing, wasn't reckless. They waited. They watched. And they fired at the exact moment Ronny was completely alone. And here's where it gets worse. A witness later told investigators that a suspicious vehicle had been circling the area earlier that day, almost like they were studying Ronny's movements. Not a walk-up shooter. Not a fight gone wrong. A car. Multiple people inside. Waiting. Casing the area. As if they knew exactly when he would show up and exactly when no one else would be around. And the police refusing to release details about the vehicle? That's not normal. When cases are cold, departments usually ask for public help. But this time? Silence. The kind of silence that means detectives already have an idea of who they're watching. And that's how the name Quell started circling around the investigation.
I can't speak on it, but if I was to speak on it, it don't look too good for certain people that we know. So I'm not gonna speak on it. Like,
well, because it's just all, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm not the police, but I'll just leave it at that. Well, I'll say a little bit. He ran up on Chrisean when she was out in public.
He did, and then he had a paternity test coming up or something.
And then it was all online.
And then it was pow, pow, pow. No paternity test. I'm sorry. Rest in peace, his soul.
A friend of Chrisean. A long-time known face. A man with a history that made detectives pay attention. Gang ties, previous charges, violence, loyalty that goes too far. A man who would absolutely ride for her. A man police have tapped phones for. They didn't tap those phones because of TikTok drama. They did it because something in that car lines up with someone in that phone. Quell being questioned repeatedly, his grandmother's home getting unexpected detective visits, his nervous video declaring innocence. None of that screams confidence. It screams pressure. It screams a man who knows he's caught in the middle of something bigger than what social media thinks. And the question everybody online keeps asking is the same one detectives quietly want answered. If Quell wasn't involved, then why hasn't Chrisean been questioned the same way he has? Why was he the only one tapped? Why was he the only one interrogated? Because someone in this story knows more than they're admitting. Then comes the part that nobody wants to touch, the DNA. Ronny was planning to serve legal papers. He confronted her publicly. A test was already being arranged. And suddenly, before anything could move forward, he's gone. The same week she told police she didn't know him. The same month Zeus aired a DNA document that didn't match any name involved. The same season Blueface questioned the paternity on camera. And the same year Chrisean posted cryptic threats about people losing their life when they speak on her son. You can call it coincidence until you realize how many coincidences are stacked on top of each other. People who knew Ronny said he wasn't scared. He was determined. He wanted the truth. He wanted a test. He wanted clarity. And that alone could have put him in the crosshairs of someone who wasn't ready for that truth to come out. The GoFundMe that she never donated to. The funeral she didn't attend. The silence that felt loud. All of it sits differently when you replay it after the shooting. Meanwhile, Lemuel Plummer, the Zeus CEO, has reached the point where he's done staying quiet. Because he knows things only network insiders know. He saw documents before anyone else. He watched how the storyline changed. He watched how narratives were forced, edited, rearranged. And now, he's allegedly telling people he's ready to tell everything he saw behind the scenes, especially if he feels his life is being threatened. And when a CEO starts fearing for his life over a reality star, that's not drama anymore. That's a warning. The moment the internet realized this story had gone way beyond clout chasing was the moment old clips, deleted posts, and behind-the-scenes footage started resurfacing. It was almost like everyone suddenly remembered details they had ignored before, moments that felt chaotic back then, but now looked like puzzle pieces falling exactly where they belonged. People started revisiting interviews, lives, jail calls, show episodes, tweets, everything. And what they found wasn't just drama. It was a trail of red flags nobody took seriously until Ronny was gone. One of the first things people pointed out was how uncomfortable Chrisean looked anytime Ronny's name came up on camera. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't fear. It was irritation, like someone whose biggest worry wasn't the person but what the person knew. And the timeline kept exposing itself. The confrontation at the mall, the argument about the DNA papers, the phone call she made claiming she didn't know him, and the sudden effort to push Blueface as the father through a conveniently edited network storyline. Viewers had laughed at the chaos when the show aired, but now they were asking whether Zeus had been helping her hide reality, not just create entertainment. And that's where Lemuel's involvement hits harder. Because if he really knew that the DNA document shown on TV wasn't connected to either parent, then he had been sitting on a lie the entire world believed. People started saying he wasn't speaking up now because he was scared. They said he was panicking because he knew if investigators started pulling entertainment records, contracts, emails, and raw footage, they'd find inconsistencies that pointed straight back to him. Maybe he wasn't just trying to expose her. Maybe he was trying to protect himself before someone else did the exposing for him. Meanwhile, fans kept dissecting Ronny's final days. His posts, his calls, his messages to friends. All of it showed a man who was ready to force the truth legally. He wasn't trying to embarrass anyone. He wasn't trying to go viral. He was trying to claim his child. Witnesses said he had even told friends, "She playing with something she can't control," and nobody knew what he meant. Now people wonder if he had sensed the danger but underestimated how far someone would go. And then there was Quell, the quiet storm in the middle of all this. Every time he said he was innocent, people noticed the same thing. He never explained where he was. He never explained who he was with. He never explained why detectives tapped his phone. He acted angry, not scared. Like a man who knew something but didn't want to take the fall for it. And the more he talked, the more the police watched him. Some street whispers even said detectives believed he wasn't the shooter, but someone in the car. And that alone was enough to make him sweat. People dug even deeper and found something even worse: the history of violence around anyone who tried to challenge Chrisean publicly. her exes, old friends, rivals, people she argued with, people she posted about. It became a pattern that made her cryptic messages feel less like emotional outbursts and more like warnings. Everyone who thinks they can speak on my son always lose their life stopped being a dramatic caption and started sounding like a line investigators needed to analyze word for word. Even her sister, Techie, unintentionally added fuel to the fire. The moment she said, "If I speak on it, it won't look good for certain people," the internet lost its mind. Because siblings never stay silent unless the truth is dangerous. And her hesitation gave the story a darker edge, like she knew something that couldn't be said without consequences. Detectives, according to rumors, weren't ignoring any of this. They were reportedly retracing Ronny's last movements, checking cameras, pulling traffic footage, comparing timestamps. They were allegedly reviewing phone pings, call logs, suspicious numbers, and unusual text patterns. And when people found out the case was labeled a targeted attack, the tone of the investigation changed in an instant. That label means someone was hunting, someone was planning, someone knew exactly why the trigger needed to be pulled. And that brings us right back to the Zeus CEO, because once he began hinting at what he knew, people realized this wasn't just a story about a shooting. This was a story about secrets, pressure, and the dark side of the entertainment world. If Lemuel truly felt threatened enough to consider calling the police, then what exactly was he holding? Emails? Raw footage? Deleted scenes? DMs? Unedited DNA documents? Insider conversations about the real father? Something is making him shake, and CEOs don't shake unless the truth is explosive enough to drag them down too. Meanwhile, online detectives kept pushing the theory that Ronny's death was more about timing than conflict, that he needed to be gone before the court date, before the DNA test, before the truth came out publicly. It was a theory nobody wanted to say out loud, but everyone was thinking. And the more people looked at the timeline, the harder it became to dismiss. And right when the internet was starting to slowly settle, something else resurfaced. One of Ronny's mother's old posts. The one where she played a track by Jaden Alexis, one of Chrisean's rivals, right before writing, "Y'all really unalived my son." Her silence since the funeral started to look less like grief and more like controlled anger, the type of anger of someone who believed her son was taken intentionally. The deeper you go, the more each piece stops feeling random. By the time the online investigation reached its boiling point, the narrative had grown far bigger than any single rumor. What started as a back and forth about money and threats had turned into a full-blown digital autopsy of Ronny's final months. And the more people dug, the more a strange truth started surfacing. Every person connected to this story was hiding something. Some hid out of fear, some hid out of loyalty, and some hid because saying the wrong thing could crush everything they built, from careers to reputations to multi-million-dollar deals. That's when leaked voice notes, old screenshots, and private messages started circulating. Nothing confirmed, but enough to shift the public's perception dramatically. People claimed there were quiet conversations between friends of Ronny, who said he often felt followed. That he sometimes mentioned seeing the same car multiple times. That he joked about people wanting to shut him up. Words nobody took seriously when he said them, but words that sounded haunting after February 3rd. Then came the revelation that detectives had allegedly seized more than just phone records, that they were quietly monitoring online chatter, looking for inconsistencies, contradictions, and slip-ups. And when fans realized that several people from Chrisean's circle went unusually silent around the time Ronny died, they started treating that silence like evidence. Online detectives don't need proof, they need patterns. And everything was starting to align a little too neatly. At the same time, Lemuel Plummer's sudden shift in attitude only made things worse. A CEO doesn't publicly panic unless something inside the walls of his own empire is shaking. People started speculating that Zeus Network, whether intentionally or accidentally, helped create a storyline that may have buried the real truth. That the fake DNA document wasn't just a mistake. That it was part of a desperate attempt to control a narrative spiraling out of control. And if Lemuel truly had evidence the public hadn't seen yet, then his fear wasn't irrational. It was survival. Meanwhile, an entirely different storm was brewing. Blueface, despite not being the confirmed father, wasn't stepping forward, wasn't demanding tests, wasn't pushing clarity. That confused everyone. Why would a man so publicly humiliated on reality TV not want to clear his name? Did he already know the truth? Was he protecting himself? Protecting her? Or did he simply not care? His silence became another missing puzzle piece that made everything murkier. Then there was Chrisean's behavior, swinging between emotional breakdowns and explosive confidence. Posting threats, crying on live, laughing the next day, acting unbothered, then acting targeted, claiming everyone's out to get her, but refusing to cooperate with the very processes that could clear her name. She never addressed the DNA inconsistency. She never explained why she didn't attend Ronnie's funeral. She never responded to accusations that she stopped the paternity case. Instead, she doubled down on intimidation, posting cryptic threats, talking about people losing their life, invoking fear more than innocence. And while she spiraled online, police quietly kept their distance. They never confirmed her as a suspect. They never cleared her either. It was the kind of strategic silence detectives use when they're building a case that needs airtight proof before making a move. And that alone made the internet explode with theories. Street blogs began suggesting someone close to Ronny might have been pressured. Someone who owed loyalty. Someone who was manipulated into doing something irreversible. Because even though everyone kept pointing to Quell, plenty of people believed he wasn't the shooter, just the bait. The lookout. The driver. The one who helped, without pulling the trigger. And if that was true, then detectives were watching him not because he was the killer, but because he could lead them to the killer. Things got even darker when old footage resurfaced of Chrisean saying, "I move people out the way when I need to." It meant nothing when she said it the first time. Now, it sounded like a confession hiding in plain sight. Not a literal one, but the mentality behind it. The willingness to do whatever it takes to protect her image, her relationships, and her storyline. By now, even people who loved her couldn't ignore the uneasy coincidences. Ronny confronts her publicly. He is gone weeks later. He demands DNA papers. She claims she doesn't know him. A test is scheduled. He never lives to take it. Zeus pushes a fake document. She proudly shows it off. His mother posts a subliminal. She ignores it entirely. Quell's phone is tapped. Hers is not. The case is labeled targeted. Nobody is arrested. Nothing lines up cleanly. And everything lines up suspiciously. But the cruelest twist of all came from Ronny himself. Or rather, what he left behind. A friend of his shared quietly that Ronny had saved screenshots, messages, and voice memos related to the DNA test. Not for drama. Not for the internet. For court. For protection. He knew the battle he was stepping into, and he wanted evidence. Whether any of that made it into police hands remains unknown. But if it did, it explains exactly why detectives have stayed silent. Because ongoing investigations don't talk. They build. As pressure mounts, Zeus is reportedly preparing to distance itself from the entire situation. Even the network knows that if Lemuel talks, truly talks, the fallout could be catastrophic. Not just for Chrisean, not just for the show, but for everyone involved in covering up the truth. And that leads to the final, brutal question everyone online is left asking. Was Ronny Doe's death a tragic act of senseless violence? Or was it the silencing of a truth someone couldn't afford to let out? Part 3 ends here, right where the mystery stops feeling like speculation and starts feeling like a truth buried under fear, loyalty, and secrets only a few people know, but millions are now demanding to uncover. And at the end of all this, one brutal reality remains. Somebody out there knows exactly what happened to Ronny Doe. Whether it was fear, loyalty, or something far darker, the truth didn't disappear. It was buried. Hidden behind stories, distractions, fake documents, edited reality shows, and voices too scared to speak openly. But every buried secret eventually cracks, and this one is shaking louder than ever. Because when street rumors, police silence, disappearing DNA tests, and high-level TV executives all collide, something explosive is hiding underneath. And if even a fraction of what people are whispering is true, then this case isn't just a tragedy, It's a ticking timer waiting for the wrong person to finally slip. So now the question shifts to you, the viewer. After everything you've heard, everything you've seen, every piece of this messy timeline, what do you believe happened? Was Ronny targeted by people who feared the truth? Was he caught in the crossfire of fame, control, and secrets? Or is this all one massive coincidence that spiraled into a mystery too big for the internet to ignore? Drop your thoughts below because trust me, the comments on cases like this matter more than you think. People involved read them. People close to the truth watch them. And sometimes, one comment connects a piece nobody else noticed. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for updates, and turn on notifications. Because this story, this investigation, this storm around Chrisean, Ronny, Zeus Network, and the paternity scandal, it isn't ending. It's only getting started.